Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition. And today we are going to talk about what we do not want to forget and how forgetting is such an important part of ascension, but when it starts to happen, we don't so much care for it. And there are some things we just hold on to and just do not want to forget, and why it's important we start letting that stuff go. So we talk a lot about every time we move a dimension, when we shift dimensions, we will forget. You forget things that happened in the other ones because technically in this one it didn't happen. And if you try really to remember a lot of this stuff, you will almost reattach to a lower frequency reality, right? Because you're trying to kind of anchor back into something else. That is why we go into so many loops in our life, because we can't really purge a program, move forward, or purge, even if it's some of our really deep programs, purge a really deep section of our program and move on to get to the next deeper level of that program, when we're still so hung up on whatever triggered that program before, and we don't want to forget. And you see it so much in movies. I'll never forget you. Never forget me. You see it all the time. And it's a trope, right? And it is the oldest trope in the book, and it's glamorized, it's romanticized, to not ever, forget someone. And for all of us who have been in, especially this, you see this a lot in romantic relationships, maybe even more, and some friendships too. It's hard to forget blood family anyway, because normally they're still in every well, not in every reality you go in. They kind of will come in and out in different forms, but that's kind of a separate section that goes into ancestral karma and the roles we play with the parents, with siblings, with children, and it's a lot more into a lot of that. So I'm not going to so much get into that one. But it's still the same. It's really the same vibe in a sense, or the same. It's showing you the same things. It's just sometimes that one's a little deeper to dig into, because we have so many different roles we play, and we don't want to leave one role behind to move to the next role. You see so many relationships, no matter how old the child is, and they still act like the child with the parents, and the parents can be 80 and the child can be 60, and it doesn't matter, because they haven't flipped their role yet. They haven't wanted to take on a different role within the relationship, so they stay in that one role, and they don't want to flip it. So when we're talking about, because in a sense they don't want to forget that role, because that was a comfort in that role. It was a comfort in being cared for. It's a comfort of being the child. It's a comfort of listening to someone and thinking they know best. Even as we all have grown, we know that, parents are our parents, and they had the same human programming we have. And when you go through ascension, awakening, and then ascension, ascending our consciousness, ascending our body's consciousness, we really start to realize that it's not so much anyone in a human consciousness. It's all wrong. Not even to use right and wrong for a minute, but it's all not correct in a sense. It's all distorted. It's all tainted. It's all corrupt. It doesn't matter who the teachings came from. It's just, that's what it is. So we try really hard to keep our identity set in our human consciousness, and this is a hard thing to leave behind. If you were a certain job at work, and I also see people doing that, no matter how far they've gotten in their ascension, they still go back to, oh my gosh, this was the job I had, because they still have an identity to it. They still have an success story with that. You see a lot of people, even in human consciousness, they're always attached to a different time. It doesn't matter what they're doing now. They want to talk about what they did 30 years ago, or what they did 20 years ago, or what they did when they were younger, or what they did when they were a kid. They're never, it's almost like what Yoda said in Empire Strikes Back, never where you are. What is it? You never your mind on where you are, what you're doing, always somewhere else. And, there's always teachings in Yoda. And that's kind of what we always do as humans, right? We're always kind of attached to a different place, we're attached to a different time, we're attached to a different identity, and no matter what we're doing now, we want to talk about what we did then. Because that to us was a level of success. So we want to tell a story, and if that story is a success story and that story is from 45 years ago, that's the story we're going to tell, because that's the one that we feel props us up in human realities. So that keeps us bound to those old realities because we don't want to forget. And when you get into romantic relationships and you don't want to forget that love, you don't want to forget that person, you don't want to let that stuff go. Because the minute you let, and I used to get into a lot of this when I would break up with a person, the minute you let go of how you felt about that person, you feel like you kind of feel the best way to put this. You feel like you just lose the whole thing. And the whole thing was for nothing. And I remember that's how I used to feel. You know, I don't want to forget the person, because the minute I forget the person, then I don't even feel the good parts about it anymore. It just is nothing. It feels like a waste of time. But if you hold on to it, and what I would do in my human consciousness would be hold on to it and not really want to forget them and let that go. And I just end up repeating kind of the same relationship with somebody else. You know, so it's getting into a deeper level of the program in a sense, but really not even that deeper of a level, because I was still hanging on to the old one and now bringing in the new one to kind of help push the old one out in a sense. And that's a big human trope that we'll do. You know, you wait around. You don't want to get off one bus till the next bus comes along, or we kind of, we don't fully want to let go of, you know, that old comfy blanket till we get the new blanket in the mail. You know, we don't want to throw it in the trash yet. And that's just how our human consciousness works. It does not want to let stuff go. It does not want to forget stuff. And that's why a huge part of ascension is forgetting your human life, so you can start remembering your ancient memories start coming through. Your soul memories start coming through. Lineage memories start coming through. And as part of clearing the Akash too, is letting this stuff go and forgetting it. Clearing your human Akash is forgetting your human life in a sense. And if you need it to teach, you need the experience to come back to teach, you can get it because it's in your field and you can find it, but you don't have the emotional charge around it when you talk about it. You know, it doesn't, it's just, you know, I just did a video about information. It's just information. You know, that's all it is, just information. I'm just imparting information about an experience I have, but I don't have the emotional charge with it. If I tell a story on here and I still feel I have an emotional charge with it, then I know I have to go back and look at that. You know, because I'm like, I really shouldn't have any charge about it. It shouldn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter how extreme it might have been. Because the reality of it is, you know, it was just a relationship. If you bring it back to a relationship, what is our role? What was our relationship? Okay, do we need to stay together anymore, or is this done? And if it's done, we forget it and go on. It's almost like, you know, we have a difference in if you go to watch a movie and it's not a really good movie and you kind of forget the movie the minute you walk out the door. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. One, you switch of reality, and technically you never saw that movie in that reality, so you forget about it, right? We're always switching frequencies. Even if in the human reality, slight movements, we're always moving up. We're always moving up, you know, just so slight. We don't really see a lot changing because we move up so slow, you know, because our body consciousness is still so low. Our body frequency is still so low. It keeps us very ingrained kind of in the same shit over and over again. We don't really make those big strides, so we really start to get our body consciousness, our consciousness up and our body frequency up. That's when we start to see the bigger changes, the different people coming in, the different experiences coming in, how we look at the experiences, and how we can have the same experience as somebody else, but we have a totally different take on it because we experienced it, the exact same thing, in a sense, from a different frequency, and we felt the whole thing differently because we experienced it from a different, from a different space. You know, we see it from a different space. So as we go through a lot of, you know, these realities, and, you know, we don't care if we forgot about that movie because we have no attachment to that. We have no identity with that movie we saw, and we can't remember 2 weeks later what the thing was about. You know, you can rewatch a movie 4 years later and not remember you saw it. Go to a restaurant and someone could say, "Oh, you've been here before," and I was like, I have no memory of ever being here. No memory of it. Or meeting certain people, you have no memory of meeting them, because in the reality you've not planted in, that never happened. So forgetting is such a huge part of ascension, and it's a necessary part to make way, for so many other things to come in, our soul to come in, our different aspects, our soul aspects to come in, our galactic aspects to come in. But we can't do that when we have so much bogged down and not wanting to forget, or people trying to help people remember. And you see a lot of that when you start going through, even as you start going through the beginning of ascension, when people get older and they start starting to disconnect and they're going to not fully ascend in the body they're in. They're going to, leave through death and then ascend in a different body later. There's a lot of it is forgetfulness and forgetting people, forgetting things. And, human realities label it one thing or the other. It's just they're detaching from the realities. But because people around them don't like that, we try to get them to remember, right? We don't want them to forget. We don't want them to forget us because they mean something to us, even if we no longer mean something to them. And we kind of try to keep them anchored. Keep them anchored, and that's when a lot of the frustration comes in for them because they don't want to be anymore. They want to untether. They don't want to remember any of this stuff anymore. It's just like memories are, I always would say, everything looks better when it's walking out the door, right? We tend to remember the good in things and good in relationships and not so much the other stuff. We're like, oh no, that was really great. No, wait, actually, when I was in that was kind of sucky, but for whatever reason, I remember it as, really wonderful right now, and that's really not how that was. Because we still have an identity to it. It brings us some type of identity, and all these memories go down to an identity. All these realities we went through, we have an identity, whether it's a survivor identity or, I was with this person and I have an identity with that, or I played the sport and I have an identity with that. We don't want to forget this stuff. And even when we can no longer participate in some realities, you see this a lot, especially in the sporting world, where, they just after a while can't participate in those sports anymore. Their identity is so much ingrained in that. They can't get past it. They can't get to the next thing because so much of their identity is based around it. And we have to shed all these identities because they're still human identities. I get the question a lot of, why do so many people not want to leave human realities? Because if they're working for them, they're not going to want to leave. Anything that's working for you, you don't want to leave. No one went through ascension, awakening and their ascension because their human life was so amazing. You just thought, why not? Let me go do this totally other thing right now. But everything's great over here, but let me just leave all this and then go over here. Even though it's really not great over here, it's working in some capacity, right? Whether you have a lot of money in this reality, you have a lot of fame in this reality, you have a lot of success in this reality, you have a lot of prestige in this reality. It doesn't matter really why you think it's great. It's really not great, but our perception in human realities is we've achieved success in a human reality, but that is not long-term soul-fulfilling anything, right? It's not soul fulfilling. It doesn't make our soul happy, but we haven't realized that yet, in a sense. We're so embraced in how great it is. We haven't realized it's not yet. And if you're still in that phase, and there's nothing wrong with being in that, we've all been in that phase where if it's still working for you, if it's working for you 1%, you're not going to let all that go, totally shift your life and go through awakening and ascension where everything gets turned upside down. If it's working 0.4%, you're going to stick that shit out. And I understand people doing that because we all did that. Any amount of that is still working. We're going to stick in there because ascension is basically turning all that on its head. Understanding it's all been a complete farce. None of that shit is true. Our ascended realities, your soul-aligned realities, our natural state of the soul-aligned being and a light being, you'll see that phrase a lot, is not being a human consciousness whatsoever. It's just not. And when you have to leave all that stuff behind and live from either your purest aspects of yourself, that is not easy to achieve. It's not easy to get to, and it's not something you're going to do when it's all gravy over here, which, like I said, it's not really gravy. Gravy is actually a pretty good analogy because it's kind of crappy, but a lot of gravy on top. But if it's working in any capacity, we stick with it. It's only when it completely caves in that we're like, there's got to be something better because this is not working at all. And some of us had harsher than others, but to me, most of the things I see, most people had it a little bit harsher or they wouldn't leave. And even the people who might have gotten into it, you see a lot of the I'm going to say kids, but the kids, and then they're, you know, teenagers or in their 20s, coming in now, a lot of them just come in more conscious. They're coming in more conscious than they were previously. So they're coming in kind of a little different. They're more interested in a lot of these things. You could be interested in ascension. You could be interested in awakening, interested in these metaphysical concepts. That does not mean you're ready to upheaval out of all human realities, beliefs, systems, you know, including financial systems, health systems, all that stuff, removing yourself from this stuff and creating a whole new soul line reality when we don't know what that is yet. And that takes years to figure that out. Years to trust in that. Years of usually going on very little money for most of us to just try to figure out why money doesn't even matter in a sense, and how you have to kind of detach from all your beliefs and all of that stuff. You know, so I see a lot of people that are into it more, but they're interested, but they're not interested enough to leave it all behind yet. So they're in that quasi state. That's kind of what we call the fourth dimensional, you know, the fourth dimensional, people call it purgatory life. You're not living in the hell of human consciousness completely, but you're not living in the higher dimensional consciousness either. Your body consciousness isn't high enough yet. You're still kind of playing in both. You know, people can play in both worlds for decades, because leaving it all behind, I mean, that is the hardest thing you're going to do. And if anyone says it's easy, they just haven't done it yet. They haven't done that part yet. They haven't had to do that yet. They haven't been called to do it. If they had been called to do it, they might not be going to that call, because it means leaving so much behind and forgetting. And it gets back into, if I try to take this back around, which I don't know if I'm going to get it back around again, but if I try to bring this back around, leaving it behind, forgetting people, forgetting places, you forgetting all that stuff, having no emotional charge around any of that stuff. And when we start just allowing ourselves to forget it, and allowing ourselves to just, I don't want to use let it go, because I actually hate that. I honestly hate that term, but we have to kind of resolve it and say, why do I not want to? What does it give me? Every time I tell this story, if I'm attached to this person, if I don't want to forget how this was. Sometimes we don't want to forget people because of how they made us feel. And we don't understand at the time that they didn't make us feel that way. They activated that feeling within us, so we know, oh wait, I have this feeling. I didn't realize I did have this feeling within me, but wait, I do. They just helped me find it. You know, it's just like when people bring up something that happens and it makes you angry. It's not they made you angry. They activated that anger so we could clear it. These people will activate that joy and happiness for us so we can experience that, because we couldn't have gotten to that by ourselves. So we kind of attach emotions with these things, and we feel like we forget the thing, we forget that, then we lose that. And we can't lose that, because we're permanently we work cellularly because of that. You know, we can't lose those things because they're still us in a sense, and technically everyone is still an aspect of us, so technically people don't really go anywhere in a sense. We might transcend the aspect and we don't see the people anymore. We transcend the aspect. You're going to transcend these relationships, you're going to transcend the roles you play in these, and some you just don't play in anymore at all, because we don't feed on the drama. The ascension realities are not drama filled realities. You know, that's not what they are. So when you find yourself forgetting, or if you find yourself trying not to forget, you know, sometimes, like I say, we'll forget little things here and there, and we just don't care because we had no attachment to anything around it. It doesn't matter. It's the big things. You know, it's the big things we don't want to forget. Or if you're around people that are forgetting, and how does that make us feel? Why do we not like that? You know, because we don't want to be forgotten, right? That's the biggest human trope ever. You know, I want to always be remembered. You know, you see that in so many. I don't know if we've ever seen a documentary where somebody didn't want to be remembered, you know, even from serial killers to, you know, whoever, you know, it doesn't matter. Everything in the human consciousness to not be forgotten, you know, for it to mean something. Because in our human consciousness, eventually we realize it technically doesn't mean anything. Our human realities, yes, the skills we learn will take us through, we'll use them in our ascended realities, but they technically don't mean anything. And they mean even less once you go through awakening and into ascension, when we start ascending our body's consciousness, getting into a soul line realities, we start to realize how little interest we have in them anymore and how much we've shifted. So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. Keep practicing the art of intuition.